moved him to sacrifice his life for me? Tell me what moved him to die on Calvary. A motive so full of depth, I'll never understand why a God of righteousness.
Hello, everyone at Emmanuel everywhere. Welcome to another Monday Night Live. So good to have you on today. Join us again for another Monday Night Live at Emmanuel everywhere. So we are grateful for your presence and you continuing to join us as we dig deeper into what God has for us. As always, I start off with a praise break moment. And this praise break moment comes from a viral video, another one that's been going around. And it's of a woman and her daughter who are hiking in Oregon. And the daughter actually loses her footing and she slips off a cliff. And she's dangling off the cliff and the daughter's holding on to her. And at some point, the mother begins to lose hope and she tells the daughter to let her go. And at that moment where she says for her daughter to let her go and she's lost all hope.
Man who was out hiking in the US state of Oregon had an unexpected incident on his journey, saving the life of a mother dangling from a cliff. He was shooting a video for his YouTube channel when he heard the woman and her daughter calling for help.
Out in the distance, there was a man who happened to be there who was filming for his YouTube channel. And he hears those words and he rushes over to help. And with both the daughter and him, they were able to pull the mother to safety.
Right away, I kind of jumped over her and I saw the other lady laying on her back. Head was downhill, like going as if you sat on the trail and just tipped yourself back. Feet were up in the air.
He says the woman was dangling off a steep cliff.
Mom? Oh, crap.
I'm pulling you up. I'm sorry. I'm pulling you up. You got to hold on both. Try to hold on both feet.
I can't. I only have one arm.
Okay.
With only one arm, the daughter wasn't able to pull her mom to safety, but with Taylor's help, they finally got a firm grip.
We just kind of worked together and figured it out as quickly as possible. And we were able to hoist her up. And so I kind of just grabbed her arm and lifted her up on top of me.
1, 2, 3.
Oh my God. Taylor says he got to her just in time because the woman was starting to lose hope.
So it was sad because I remember her so vividly saying, just let me go. And I remember thinking like, wow, she's ready to die here.
Once she was safely back on the trail, her daughter gave her a grateful hug.
And I thought about that and I thought about us as we go through life. There have been many situations that you and I have had where we have given up hope. We were dangling off of a cliff of doubt, a cliff of fear, cliff of depression, cliff from something that someone did to us. We were dangling off of that cliff and losing hope and feeling like we just want to be let go. But can anybody give God praise to the fact that he heard you? He heard when you gave up hope. And right before you were just about to lose it, he came and pulled you up. Isn't that a praise for somebody? When you think about how many times that I've been hopeless in my life, feeling like there was nothing that could be done, God sent something or sent someone in just the nick of time to pull me to safety. That's our God. And so that's our praise break moment for today. And I hope that gives you something to think about and something to shout about when you think about our God and his ability to rescue us again and again and again and again. All right, well, we're going to get into this Monday Night Live today. As always, I think I shared with you that we're going to use Wednesdays for special prayer. So you can always put your prayers in the chat. We have some more people that put some prayers in. So we got some things to pray about on Wednesday. And so we're going to do special lives on Wednesdays dedicated to prayer. So we're going to do that. All right. Pastor preached on yesterday out of the Colossians series, still in it. We're still in the book of Colossians. We're in chapter 3. I mean, he got one more chapter to go, so we could be here for a minute, depending on how many verses he does. But we were in Colossians chapter 3, verses 1 through 17. So there was so much in those many verses, but Pastor preached the message, graduate was what it was called, graduate. And he talked about vibrating higher to at a higher level and graduating to a new level is where he went with that. And so how could we walk that into this week? Well, I kind of thought about that, and I wanted to take a piece from the scriptures that he used to kind of help us walk in that. And so if you would, out of that chapter, Colossians chapter 3, I'm only going to concentrate on verses 14 and 15 for today. Now, let me read it to you. It says, above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds us all together in perfect harmony. And let the peace that comes from Christ rule in your hearts. For as members of one body, you are called to live in peace and always be thankful. I thought that those two verses had so much that we could unpack today. And so today, I want to talk about if we're going to vibrate higher and graduate to a new level, we need a binder. We need a binder. And I'm going to help you understand that. We can view that word binder in 3 ways. We know binder is oftentimes a container for notes. When you have a booklet, or in school, you had a booklet with notes in it and you put it in a binder. We also know that a binder, or to bind, is the ability to tie up or put together, to bind. But we also know binder, and what I'd like to focus on today is a binder in culinary terms. It means it's what keeps the seasoning of a substance in place. A binder. You know, if you're cooking and you're cooking ribs or frying fish, in order to get that seasoning or breading to stick to the substance, it needs a binder. If you're doing ribs, oftentimes you need to put a binder, and we use mustard, or you would need some another type, some sauce or something to make it bind. It makes it so that whatever you're putting on, that rub that you're putting on it, will stick if you have a binder. It's something attached to the substance that makes the other thing that's applied stick. Without it on your meat, you get some unseasoned ribs, unseasoned fish. But in this text and pastor's message about graduating, that without a binder, you can have an unseasoned life. Think about it. What is the binder? Well, verse 14 says it clearly. Above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds us all together in perfect harmony. You need a binder. In order to be bound together in perfect harmony with one another and the world, and to love everyone, you need a binder. The binder is love. Without love, we say the wrong things. Without love, we do the wrong things. Without love, there is no care and there is no happiness on us, because without love, nothing sticks. Without love, we're just aimlessly walking the earth, angry and desolate and desperate without love. So the question that I have today, and what will walk us into that, hopefully graduating to that next level, is how do we bind everything we say and do with love so that we can get to the next level? How do we do it? Well, 3 ways, and I'll be on my way. The first is we need God, for God is love. You're not getting nowhere without God. You're not getting any place on this earth without God. The absence of God is prevalent all around us. That there are people absent of God that are just doing any and everything because Without God, they are controlled by the enemy. And so because of that, this is why we see so many people who are mentally challenged. And I've seen so many videos of the homeless setting fires to communities and hurting innocent people. No love. We need God because God is love. Second thing we need patience. Patience, which as the word indicates, it comes from peace. We need patience, and with patience comes peace. We're patient when, we get peace when we have patience. When you're anxious, it's often because we are impatient people. God's not moving quick enough. He's not answering fast enough. It's not happening in our time. It's not going the way that we want. And this word out of this text, out of Colossians, says clearly, let the peace that comes from Christ rule in your hearts, and you are called to live in peace. So we need patience. The often is the phrase is, no Jesus, no peace. No Jesus, no peace. So N-O, Jesus, N-O, peace. But to K-N-O-W Jesus means to K-N-O-W peace. When we know him, we have peace. We have a peace that no matter what happens, I'm safe in his arms. No matter what comes my way, I'm going to be okay. This is how we deal with things that happen to us and calamity after calamity that happen to us. As Christians, we have learned how to be patient and how to just live in peace because we love. The third thing is, and if we're going to bind everything we say and do with love and graduate to the next level, we need thanksgiving. The very end of this text says, and always be thankful. You know, there is a lot of joy in being thankful. When you are in a thankful state, you are also at a peaceful state, but you're also at a loving state. When you are thankful, when you look around your life and you are just thankful that God did even the little things for you, you live differently. I'm always thankful. Little moments, little small things get me all sappy and ready to cry because I'm just so thankful. Thankful to be in the moment with your family. Thankful to see a loved one that you haven't seen in such a long time. Thankful for that occasion where you have that opportunity to be around people that you care about. Thankful. We need Thanksgiving. Thankful for what he's done. Thankful for who he is. Thankful that he gave you the breath that you breathe. Thankful that you have the activity of your limbs. Thankful that you've seen another day. We just have to be thankful. Always thankful. The binder is love. And God is love. Let me close with this. Remember, one of the other definitions I gave you was in binding means to tie up also. Get this. And you will never bind this or any other thing. You never bind anything in your life if you don't allow love to be bound in you. You will never bind anything in this life if you don't let God's love be bound in you. What do I mean? Well, with God upon you, here is what you get. Let's look at Matthew 18:18. It says, truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. When love is bound to you, you have the ability to bind and to loose. When God is upon you, you have the ability to bind and loose. It's a story. Some years ago, a doctor by the name of Carl Menninger a noted doctor and psychologist, was seeking the cause of many of his patients' ills. One day, he called in his clinical staff and proceeded to unfold a plan for developing in his clinic an atmosphere of creative love. All patients were given large quantities of love. No unloving attitudes were to be displayed in the presence of any of the patients. All the nurses and doctors were assigned to go about each and every one of their tasks with a loving attitude. And so at the end of 6 months, they do the study. And they say that the time spent by patients in this institution was cut in half because of love. What's that tell us? That tells us that love can even influence how sick people get healing. What? Love even has an influence on how sick people get healing.
I think the psychiatrist's constant inspiration or constant goal is the fact that these individuals who are misjudged and often disliked or feared by other people often have such great capabilities, so that I would say that maybe you could say a psychiatrist is somebody who is constantly aware that the stone rejected by the builders may become the head of the corner.
Love. Love changes everything. How we go about and how we act with one another, our neighbors and our family, our friends and our associates. Love impacts the world. Without it, we see what's happening. We see what's going on in the world. Let me close with this notion that if we bind up anything, we have to be bound in love first. 1988, the artist Daryl Coley records these words in a song called What Moved Him. He says, what moved him to sacrifice his life for me? Tell me what moved him to die on Calvary. A motive so full of depth, I may not never comprehend. What moved a righteous man to love a sinful man? It was such love. A love so steadfast, love so pure, love so patient, kind, and sure. Because he was binded with love, he was bound to the cross for love. And it was in his binding that we got our loosing. Oh, that shouts me. It was in Christ's binding that we got our loosing ability. Our power to bind and loose is through him and his love. And the more we love and trust him, the more we graduate to the next level of binding and loosening. And I declare to somebody who's listening today that you have the power, because of love bound to you, to bind the enemy in all ways and loose whatever there is that God has for you. You can loose it with his love. Loving him, trusting him, learning from him. We have the power to bind and to loose. And so he says it clearly in this text. I tell you the truth. This is Jesus speaking. Whatever you bind on earth, we bound in heaven. And whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. That is power. Anybody know about that power? We have access and ability through that power. That is the binder. And the binder is love. For God is love. God bless you today. I pray that that small, short word was for somebody and we all trying to get to the next level and graduate. Let love lead the way. God bless you.
What moved him to sacrifice his life for me? Tell me what moved him to die on Calvary. A motive so full of depth, I'll never understand why a God of righteousness would love a sinful man.